Your question is, what is Aparoksha Jnana and what is Aparoksha Anubhuti? How Aparoksha Jnana leads to Aparoksha Anubhuti and how it's related to Sahaja Samadhi. So this is the question. Now we have to understand Aparoksha Jnana. When the Guru and Vedanta teaches you, Tat Tvam Asi. Tat means that. Okay? Tvam means you. So now, you are Brahman is the teaching. If this teaching is given to any person, he is told that you are God, outright he will logically reject it because it's not logical at all. No way I can be God. No way I can be Brahman. It's impossible. His logic itself immediately reject. Okay? So now, the real meaning Tat, real meaning of Tvam has to be uncovered by the Guru and Vedanta in a very systematic way. So then the meaning will be clear. The meaning is two levels. One is Rudhartha, that is called Gudhartha. Rudhartha means a common meaning. Gudhartha means indicative meaning. It is also called Vakyartha, verbal meaning, and Suchyartha, indicative meaning. So, for example, I'll tell you, please get me a glass of water. Or I'll say, get me some water. The moment I say, get me some water, the Rudhartha, I have to bring water. How can I bring water? There's the indicative meaning. Bring a water in a cup of glass. So that is not told, but it's indicative. The Vedanta teaching has a Rudhartha and Gudhartha. Atwa Vakyartha and Lakshartha, meaning of the words, and indicative meaning. So indicative meaning has to be understood. Then only real understanding will happen. Otherwise, if I ask you, bring water, how can I bring water, you will ask. Obviously, you have to bring water in a glass. The Rudhartha or Vakyartha is bring water. Indicative meaning is bring water in a glass. So you have to understand the indicative meaning. So that way, Tattvamasi will make sense. Only when you Rudhartha, you go to Suchartha or Gudhartha. Inner meaning you have to understand. Superficial meaning will not make sense. So that way, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, if you search in internet, thousands of documents will be available. So nobody has become realized because of those documents. The indicative meaning has to be unraveled in a very systematic way, in an authentic way. So authenticity comes from two dimensions. The first dimension is, it is coming from Veda Vakya. When Vedamati says something, that meaning is taken as real. Vedamata's words, we take it as real. We have faith that Veda mantras, Vedas will tell us the truth. So then Vedamata is telling Tattvamasi, you are Brahman. There must be some reality there. First acceptance is called. Then Guru tells you. So Guru takes the Vedamata Vakya and tells you Tattvamasi. So now Guru is also repeating. But Guru brings something called Yukti, a teaching methodology. He gives examples which you can understand. So from Rudhartha to Gudhartha, from Vakyartha to Vachyartha, the Guru uses a logical explanation, stories, illustrations, examples for you to make understand what is real meaning rather than indicative meaning. Then more and more clarity will emerge. So there are two things are coming here. One is the teaching of Vedamata and teaching of Guru. We have to have faith or trust in the teaching of Vedamata and teaching of Guru. This trust is called Aptavakya. The example of Aptavakya is, a child's father goes to Germany before the child was born. The child is 2 years old. The child has never seen a father. But when the father comes home, the mother tells the child that this is your father. For the child, mother's words are accepted, trusted words. So the child will immediately accept this is father. He will not ask a proof of that. Similarly, Vedamata and Guru, when they tell, there is a trusted relationship. That's called Shraddha. So here you don't question the authenticity of that. You won't question, is it true? You'll only question, how can I understand it? Rather than the questioning the truth of the sentence. So understanding is made more simpler by Guru. How he does? A Guru is one who is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Brahmanishtam means he himself is established in truth. His life itself becomes a teaching, how he lives, how he faces different situations. So that is a teaching. So he becomes a living truth. He becomes a living book. That's authenticity. Then Shrotriyam means teaching of Vedanta. He is able to explain to you using yukti, logic, using example. So now what happens? The teaching is very clear to you. The living example is their Guru. The living understanding is there in the form of example and teaching. So using that, you have to understand the real meaning. Once you understand the real meaning, Tattvamasi is no longer a third person. Somewhere something is happening. Then you will be able to recognize, I am Brahman. Now this recognition is conscious recognition. Consciously you have to recognize. That's why Shravana and Manana is very important. It's a conscious activity. It's not a subconscious activity. Or it's not an activity in Samadhi. It's a conscious understanding is very important. So this is like any conscious learning. If you want to drive first, so you have to drive. So you are very conscious. Where is the brake? Where is the accelerator? You are very conscious. So in conscious driving, there's ego involved. I am driving and car is there. So these are consciously I am learning everything. Similarly, in the conscious learning, when Guru teaches, there's a conscious learning. There's ego involved. No doubt about that. Okay? But the clarity is there. This is exactly like a learning driving or learning cycling. You will not be able to learn cycling or driving in one day. But you have to put a conscious effort there. There's effort involved. Similarly, Shravana, Manana, there's effort involved. But as you do that, a clarity emerges. Now, what is this clarity? The Vedamata teaching is taken as true. Guru's logic, Guru gives a teaching of logic, and Guru's life itself becomes a living proof for you. The teaching of Vedanta is true. So now your logic cannot oppose it. Logic cannot reject it. There's no way you can consciously reject what Guru's teachings are. You don't have a choice. You are cornered. The ego is cornered now. Ego has to accept, yes, logically is correct. Vedamata is saying is correct. Guru is saying correct. So I am Brahman. So logically, consciously you have to accept it. There's no opposition possible. So now when you're logically, consciously able to accept it. So of course you have understood here very clearly, Tam means what? Tat means what? The meaning of the word you have understood. So let's say Tam means, Guru tells, Tam means real, the innermost self, Pratyekatma in deep sleep state. What is the nature of Pratyekatma in deep sleep state? Not a doer, not a enjoyer, not a knower. Akarta, Abhokta, Adnata. That's your real nature. Now Tam you have understood. Tat he says, Tat means Brahman, means manifest reality, the world. And what is constant in the world? Existence. Tree exists, sun exists, the existence is common. So, Tam means you and Tat are one reality. That means there is no subject-object duality is being pointed out. Then immediately you'll come back and say, that's okay in deep sleep, there's no duality, but in the waking state, I am there, the world is there. Then Guru will point out to you that in the waking state and dream state also, the same Pratyekatma is there, and that Pratyekatma is Brahman. There's no subject-object duality. He'll give a logic for that. That logic cannot be opposed. What is the logic? Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. What is there constant all the time is Brahman. What is appearing and disappearing is Mithya. So the logic is, In the waking state, the world is appearing, disappearing. Is it true? Is it real? In the dream state, dream world is appearing, disappearing. Is it real? Waking personality and dream personality are different. Is your body and mind what you think is I? The real I? Is it real I? So something which is constant in all of these is called Pratyekatma, whose nature is Akarta, Abhokta, Adnata. Then what is there is Mithya. What appears is a Mithya. Now the problem for us is what is Mithya we have taken as Satya, real. So past some 10 years back I suffered something. So now I remember now. I start crying. You are crying for something which is unreal, Mithya. Because what you are 10 years back and what you are now as a personality, the body mind complex is different. Then what is there is memory. And what is there is the background Atma. Who are you really? The conscious present Atma, the Sakshi, all the time. That's real you. So that is being pointed out to you. Now, that's why Ramana Maharshi says, ask who are you? To again and again take your attention to real you. Because you are crying for a false you. The false you is imagining something and crying. False you is imagining something and blaming, hating, crying all the time. So real you is being pointed out. Now when you recognize real you, which is a gap between the thoughts, which I told you earlier, how to recognize the gap between thoughts by taking Sakshi Bhava. So the thought chain breaks. So breaking the thought chain is like applying a brake. When you cycle or driving, like applying a brake. Initially, when consciously when you're driving, learning driving, suddenly you don't know what is brake. You will put an accelerator. But gradually you learn where the brake is. Then you will start putting a brake. So similarly, become a Sakshi, become a witness, or who are you? These questions will point out to your real nature. So now the real nature will put a brake to thought chain. When the break to the thought chain, the gaps will emerge. In the gaps, your real nature becomes more and more evident. So this can be done anytime. Once you know where the brake is, you can apply the brake anytime. When you know brake, how to know apply brake in the car, in traffic, high speed, you can apply the brake. Similarly, throughout the day, anytime Nididhyasa can be done. Nididhyasa means who am I? Being Sakshi. I can apply the brake so that thought chain can stop. So, where is the thought chain? When you are going to past or future, you have a thought chain. When you are in the present moment, there is no thought chain. Going to the present moment and going to the presence by asking who am I is the break. Gateway to your inner nature. So when you come to the body, you come to the present moment. Present moment is the gateway. The gap between the thoughts is the window for yourself. So present moment, the present, usually the gateway of the window of a gap between thoughts. You look at your own nature, reality. That is the present. From present moment to present. Otherwise, you are living in the illusionary image of the past and future. Come back to the present moment, come back to the present. So now, if you are learning this, applying the brake consciously, always, all learning is conscious. Gradually, it becomes a subconscious habitat. You can apply the brake anytime. You don't have to do any effort. So, for example, when you're learning car, initially you have to be very conscious. But after some, it becomes habit pattern. Then you don't have to be conscious. Mind can be anywhere. You don't have to think also. When the brake has to be applied, brake will be applied. When the accelerator is pressed, accelerator will press. Similarly, conscious thought that I am Brahman, the world is Mithya, Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, Aham Brahmasmi will start getting into deeper and deeper subconscious. Then there is no longer any effort is required for you. It come out naturally. So any thought I am the body, I am the mind will be nullified by the I am Brahman. So but please understand, first conscious acceptance of Aham Brahmasmi is the Aparoksha Jnana. Now the Aparoksha Jnana will start getting into subconscious and unconscious. Then it becomes effortless. At the Aparoksha Jnana level, it's effort. There's effort involved because ego is involved. But Aparoksha Jnana means accepting I am Brahman because your logic cannot oppose it. The words of Guru and Vedamata are Aptavakya. You cannot oppose it. Logically cannot oppose it. Then what can oppose it? Your subconscious impression. The subconscious impression will come and say, oh, what happened to me? Last year I suffered. How can I become Brahman? Then the subconscious impression will have to be nullified with a conscious understanding. So, what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future is mithya. If that understanding starts going down, the conscious understanding, aham brahmasmi, Aparoksha Jnana, will become subconscious. As long as the effort is involved, it is called savikalpa. Once it becomes subconscious, it goes to nirvikalpa. Or there's no effort involved. It gets into deep unconscious, where causal thoughts, deep-rooted thoughts, I am the body and mind and intellect, will be replaced by I am pure awareness. Now this replacement has happened because you recognize the real meaning of Vedanta Vakya. It's not affirmation, a psychological affirmation. It's a real understanding has happened. And the real understanding has happened where there is no logical contradiction. Okay? But subconscious impression can oppose. The subconscious impression is nullified as you learn how to apply the brake more often. Gradually, you learn driving car effortlessly. Similarly, here also, gradually learn how to be in your natural state effortlessly. When the gap appears in thought, there's a momentary relief, momentary peace, because mind has become silent. The peace is self-experiencing itself. It's called Aparoksha Anubhuti. The Aparoksha Anubhuti is in deep sleep also. Now, Aparoksha Anubhuti in the waking state also, self-experiencing itself will start appearing. So that gap will be longer and longer as your Jnana goes deeper and deeper. When the Jnana is not deeper, it's still a conscious effort. Just like learning cycling, a conscious effort has to be put. After learning, it will be subconscious. So don't be under the impression that Aparoksha Anubhuti means subconscious learning. Aparoksha is conscious learning. Effort is involved. But subconscious is gradually becomes subconscious learning. When the subconscious learning is an effort, there is effortless. When I'm the body thought comes, immediately the body thought will be nullified, but by I'm pure awareness, Sakshi, I'm Brahman. So that way, your momentary gaps in your thought process will become more and more. Gradually start recognizing I'm more and more peaceful. So now, you recognize this peace as peace in the mind, reflection peace in the mind. But reflection is nothing but my original. My nature is pure awareness, which is reflected as peace in the mind. So that way, now you don't need a practice. You have reached a stage. You are able to stay naturally. I am awareness. I am Brahman. The mind thoughts will come and go, or peace will appear and disappear. It will not bother you because you are recognized your true nature. Then in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, you know you are Brahman. You are pure awareness. This is called Sahaja Samadhi. So any questions?
No.